Okay. So our agenda was the project which we are doing. We have to create a VPC and 4 subnets in which there will be 2 public subnets and 2 private subnets. Initially, put one instance into this particular public subnet and database, and then the backend server we will put in this private subnet. Okay. And then after few projects, like after few sessions, we will create load balancer, and that will only be in the public subnet. All the instances will be part of private subnet only. Okay. We will create a RDS instance, and then we will create route 53 also through the Terraform, and we will integrate all these things, if you remember from our previous discussion. So we started working on this, and we came to the point where we have this file version.tf. So till yesterday, we created VPC, right? Like we have written the configuration for VPC creation, then the public and private subnet, and we were into route table creation, right? So now we will begin from that point. So what is the resource for route table? So you can find here. Just give me a second. So AWS route table, Terraform. So here you can find the document. Here in this case, it is creating the route inside this particular resource only as a nested block, but you can create it like another separate resource as well. Okay. So we will be doing in this way only. So first we will be creating the route table, and then we will be creating the routes. Okay. So as discussed yesterday, we can create a route table, and then we can define our route for our public route table and private route table, if you remember. So here we have the route table. So once we can create a route, okay, then we can, here we can perform the routes like destination, target, and all those things we can define here. So that we will be doing in the route section. Okay. So first thing, so this route table, whatever we will be creating 2 route tables. Okay. But as we know, we have a default route table. Once a VPC gets created, by default a route table also get created. So we will make use of that, and in that we will configure the routes as per our requirement and associate the subnets and all. Okay. So first route table I am going to create is public route table. So in which VPC? So the VPC which our configuration is going to create. So we know how to reference. So AWS VPC, free tier VPC, and then the ID of this particular VPC. So how can we get it? So from our previous session, you remember, like, why this sharing is okay. So AWS underscore VPC Terraform. So here you can find in the attributes reference, right? If you want to get some value, so that you can find from the attribute reference. Do you guys remember? Yes, no, maybe. Am I audible?
Yes, Gaurav, you are audible. Yeah, we remember that attribute reference ID. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, so this is how we can reference to this particular VPC ID. Then we can pass the tag. So name we can pass. So we want to create a public route table. So we can give it a name as public route table. And if you want to get more as a name, so you can give 3-tier VPC or whatever you wish. It is up to you. Fine. So this is our public route table. Now, as I told you that when we create a VPC, a default route table get created, but there is no routing available. Okay. So every subnets will get associated. If there is no other route table, then all the subnet get associated to this with that particular route table. So we have to define the route and associate subnet explicitly. So we will take like default route table Terraform. And we can make use of this particular block. Okay, so route as we are defining in another section. So the one route table which will be created by default, we are just using that for private routing. So it will become private route table. Should be underscore, else we would get another error. So AWS VPC, then 3-tier VPC. And if you want to find out what is the default route table associated with this VPC, so what is the attribute for this, that you can find here from attribute reference. So if you will scroll down, you can find here default security group ID. Okay. So this value will give the security group ID. Fine. Why are we doing it here? It is already created, but we are included into our configuration because we have to create routes and all for this. Okay. So for that purpose we are, and we have also to give some name, because by default this route table will not have any name, which is the default one. So you can either make it a private route table or public route table, but you will have to explicitly define the rules. Okay, routes and then the subnet association. So that's why I am keeping it into our configuration. So it is our public route table, and this is our private route table. So I am renaming it to private route table. Good. We are good till now. So we have two route tables. I am just now creating two subnets. Okay, and this is I will give you as a task to create two other subnet in the end. Okay, because I have to create 4 subnets. So I am creating 2, and 2 you will have to. For that purpose, I am creating only one private and public subnet. Okay, so we have created 2 route tables. Okay, one we have created from scratch, and one whatever is available by default that we are taking into our configuration file and making use of it as a private route table. So for that, we will define the route and all. So for that purpose, to reference it, we need it in our configuration. Okay. So now the next thing what we have to do. So route table, when you will run this configuration, you will have something like this route table available, but it will not have routes and subnet associations. That you have to explicitly define. So first thing we have to define route. So what is the resource for this? So AWS route, not table, AWS route. Route table we already created. So this route thing we can make use of. And here we can define our like which security group sorry, which route table will be pointed to internet gateway and which will be like private one. Okay, so that those things we can define here.
Hi. Please take a few seconds to like this video, ask your doubts or questions in the comments. Our trainers will answer it. Your response helps us to post more videos on this topic. More likes we get, more videos we can post. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
So resource AWS route. Okay. So this is our public route, suppose. Fine. Route table ID. So it is hard coded in the example. So what is our public route table that we will associate? So how can we do it? AWS underscore route table underscore table dot public route table. This one. This thing dot this thing, and we need ID. So in this case, where we will have to find out? Can anybody answer me?
Attribute reference.
Yes. For which resource?
Route table.
Yeah. Good. If you understood this, you are good to work with Terraform. Okay. So ID. Fine. So ID is the something which needs to be referred. Okay. Then remove this IP version 6. We are not considering now. We need to pass the gateway ID. Okay. So it is egress means outbound, but we need gateway, internet gateway, not only for outbound. So we will go to argument reference and find out something which is available to give gateway ID. Okay, so this is gateway ID. So if someone is not able to like correlate it with the console. So let me give you an example here, like when you are creating a route table. So while defining route, if you have public route table, you have to associate an internet gateway, right? So same thing we will have to do in the programmatically here. That is something which I am trying to do. Okay. So Control S and give this argument, which is named as, what is it? Gateway ID, right? So under Control space gateway ID. Fine. So for this, we need to create a gateway also, right? Then only we will have some IDs for gateway. So another resource we need to create. What is the resource? So AWS gateway. So suppose I am typing AWS IGW Terraform. Terraform is being used so much. That's why even writing in this way will land you to correct page. Fine. So we need to create the internet gateway. Okay. So this is the resource. Copy this particular thing from this documentation and put it anywhere. Okay. In your configuration. It is not like you have to maintain in such a way that it should come first, then Terraform will. You can do it. Okay. You can put it anywhere in your configuration file. And as per implicit dependency, Terraform will understand what thing it has to perform first. There is explicit dependencies also that we will discuss. ID and give it a name. So what name you can give? Whatever you wish. IGW 3-tier VPC. Okay. I'm giving 3-tier VPC to make it easy for us to understand that it is related to our 3-tier VPC project. You can give it any name. Okay. So now we have internet gateway resource for this particular thing. So now we can reference it. So now if we get the gateway ID, how can we get it? So gateway ID, again we have to go to attribute reference, and this is the ID. Fine. So dot ID. We are good. Now, so when you are doing, suppose in this route table, editing the route, okay, apart from target, you pass the destination as well, right? Like this. So how can we pass this? What is the argument for that? So go to AWS route, where it is, okay, and here you can find CIDR block, destination CIDR block, okay. Destination CIDR block is something which you can make use of and put it here and give the CIDR in. So if you want to export something to the internet, the destination is this CIDR. Fine. So AWS route is done, internet gateway is done. For public route table, private route table, we do not have to do anything. We do not have to create route, because in this case we do not want to expose to internet, and by default for VPC there is already a route available. Okay, in all VPCs this will be available, so we do not have to explicitly define our route. Okay, what is the next thing we have to do? So this, in this route table there is route. Okay, similar to this we will have the route, and then another thing is required, which is subnet association, like which subnet you will associate to this route table, so that a subnet will work as a public or private subnet. So is there any resource for this? So yes. Okay, so this particular resource you can make use of to associate the subnets. Okay, so Control C, put it here, give the subnet ID, AWS route table association, public association, give it a name as subnet ID. So we need to put public subnet ID, right? So this is our public subnet. So AWS subnet dot, if you will do control space, you will automatically get the information. And route table, as we already know, we have just created public route table dot ID. Fine. So we have, with this we are associating our subnet, public subnet, with our public route table. Now again we will have to do the same thing for private route table. Okay. AWS subnet, and then this control space private subnet dot ID, and here it will be, because we are using default route table, so AWS default route table does private RT dot ID. Okay, ID is the attribute to get the route table ID. So I think now we are done with everything related to VPC, right? So we have configuration written for VPC creation, subnet creation, internet gateway creation, route table creation, then the routes, and for subnet association. So all the things are available. Fine. So now we can do Terraform validate. Okay. Terraform format, FMT you can do, it will do formatting of your syntax, like if there is a space missing or something, so it will format it, align it. For that purpose we use that. Now we will do Terraform plan. No configuration files. Why? Okay, sorry. Demo to VPC 3. So now do Terraform validate once again. Are we getting any error or something? Let's check. Okay, so success. There is no issue with the configuration. Okay, let's do Terraform FMT. Fine. So in version.tf, everything it has aligned. If it was missing. Now do Terraform plant. Okay, you can check in the console. We do not have anything created, only one VPC. From the dashboard also you can see. So one VPC, we have 6 subnets related to this VPC available, route table 1, internet gateways 1. Okay. So here in this case, 9 resources will be added. Okay. So what are all our 9 resources? The first one is VPC, 2 subnets. So it becomes total route table 4, then default route table 5, route 6, gateway 7, route table association to 9. Let's do Terraform apply. So yesterday we were getting something like prompt for approval, right? So that you can like prevent from asking you to in the console multiple time by putting this argument ---- auto approve. Okay, so just like in Linus, when we install something, we pass -y. So it takes as an yes and do not prompt you. Same way, it will not prompt you for yes or no. You can see that it is going ahead without asking for anything. So this is good practice when you are using, like you are integrating it to Jenkins. So you will not be asked to put yes or no. Okay. So we are getting some errors. Do not worry. Error reading EC2 default route table couldn't find resource. Line 49. What is the issue? ID. Error reading EC2 default route table. Just give me a second, guys. So it has created everything. Couldn't find resource. So if we refresh here, so we can find 2 VPC. Now 8 subnets, 3 route tables. So 2 route tables we have created, 1 internet gateway, security groups 14. In this, let's find this particular security group. So it is default VPC security group. With VPC, this particular VPC, demo VPC, which we have just created. Demo VPC. So what is the issue? Line number 49, resource AWS private route table. This is the name I given. Okay, let me check the configuration file, like documentation. Default route table Terraform. What is the problem then? AWS default route table ID. Yes. Fine, that's correct. Just give me a second. What is the issue? Error ready EC2 default route table couldn't find resource. It is already available then. Why it can't find? Oh, okay. AWS, what I have passed default security group ID. It is fine. It should be default route table ID, no? Default route table ID. Fine, so this is a mistake. Okay. Now, suppose I got an error here. Okay, and now if I will do Terraform apply, what will happen? Any idea, guys?
I think it will not apply.
Sorry?
It will not apply anything if you have some error.
So actually, whatever the rest of the resources is already created, and this resource has some problem, as you can see from the console also. So on next apply, it will check in the Terraform state file. This is called as desired state, and this is called as current state. Will check with the state file and match with the configuration. If everything is correct, only this needs to be created. So it will keep the other things as it is, and it will create this particular thing. Okay, so this is how it happens. In a state section, when we will discuss about state in details, I will explain you what is desired state, what is current state, how it works, and all. For now, understand this. Auto approve. Okay, so you can see that it is just refreshing the state. It is not creating anything. Okay, now it is saying 2 to add, because this one and for this route will be also be created. So previously 7 resources got created, now 2 resources are created. So you can see that route table association is one got created and another one is route table. Okay, so 2 resources got created. So now we have everything in place. If you want to check, you can check here like demo VPC. Subnets. We have created 2 subnets, and as we have given the name, private subnet for my VPC, public subnet for my VPC. Okay, this is the tag it is taking from here. Public subnet for my VPC, and then private subnet for my VPC. Fine. If we are talking about route tables, so we have public route table, 3-tier VPC, public and private. Routes you can check in this only to the VPC. This particular route is available, our VPC, because it is private route table. Then we have public route table. So in this case, route will be going to outer world. Okay, so target is this, destination is this. Fine. Subnet association. Public subnet is attached to this public route table, and private subnet is associated with this private route table. Good. Internet gateway, that we have already checked in our route, but again you can see. Okay,